Welcome to MRE Uncut, where we'll give you real and practical insights into the real estate scene in Melbourne. We'll discuss what's happening in the industry, all backed by MRE's history of over 30 years in the game. With that said, let's jump into this week's episode of MRE Uncut.
Welcome back to another MRE podcast. My name's Steve Fitzsimon. I'm with Peter Hooymans.
Hello, everybody, again.
And then we have a guest today, Jordan from Detector Inspector.
A great guest.
He's a great guest.
It's very hard to get.
Very hard.
How long has it taken us to get Jordan in? It's not been easy.
No, he hasn't been the easiest guest
He has just given us a pretty good excuse there.
Yeah.
A third child.
Yeah, well, you know.
So well done on that,
keeps
mate.
you busy.
Yeah.
G'day, fellas.
Yeah.
Just thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice
Pleasure,
fit,
mate.
nice fit.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So essentially, Detector Inspector, give us a run through, Jordan. Like, we met many years ago.
Yeah.
But from where did it start? What are your core businesses in terms of what you do day to day now? And tell us about how this business has gone nuts.
Yeah, definitely. Steve, that fateful day I met you, you asked me why I wasn't wearing a tie. And I was like, who is this stiff? Anyway, he's not such a stiff.
I don't wear a tie now.
Yeah, exactly.
Time's changed.
That's right.
How long ago was that?
Oh, it would be
15 years.
10 years.
10 to 15 years ago.
Something like that.
So Detector Inspector's been around for 18 years, but our story starts much before that. The story goes, my business partner, Jason, our parents were friends. We went to playgroup together. We went to school together. Then we started a business together.
It's a bromance if I've ever heard one.
That's right. And Detector Inspector is a safety and compliance company. It's tech-enabled, and we make homes safer for tenants, and we make compliance simpler for property managers and landlords. And so Jason's father was in real estate, and he brought home an article that was published in the Real Estate Institute of Victoria newsletter that outlined there was a tenant who was injured in a house fire, and they sued their landlord for non-operational smoke alarms.
Mm-hmm.
In the final paragraph of this article that was written by the solicitor of the REIV,
Mm-hmm.
it outlined that real estate agents should use contractors to make sure that to limit the liability for their safety and compliance. And so Jason faxes me this article.
Faxed it.
Fax was a thing 18 years ago. I rip it off the fax machine. I read it. I pick up the phone. I call him. I'm like, dude, how hard can it be to install smoke alarms? And literally the next weekend we went to Bunnings and we picked up 2 ladders, 2 drills, a bunch of batteries and a bunch of smoke alarms. And we spent the next 6 to 12 months building a business plan to provide safety and compliance services for real estate agents.
Just roughly?
2005.
Yeah, right. So it is 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's close to 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and Detector Inspector's come a long way. Like in the early days, Detector Inspector was just a thing on the side. So Jason and I didn't need to borrow money off mum and dad while we were studying. And the business grew slowly while we were studying, mainly through word of mouth and really good relationships with real estate agencies. And it got to a point where we realized that if this is something that we wanted to take into the future, we were going to need to do thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of services each year. And to do that, we're going to need a system to be able to support us. And so we searched the market for software that was able to provide compliance services, and we couldn't find anything in the market. So we started to build our own. And the main reason that we tried to build our own software in those early days is because there was nothing that would provide a digital audit trail for real estate agencies. And for landlords who wanted to make sure that these services were being done properly by the technicians that they're hiring to do them. And so we built a mobile app. We built a system that could manage our thousands of properties. At the time, it was only single thousands. We now manage 320,000 properties and do more than 500,000 services every year.
I was about to say, 2005, you've got 2 ladders, 2 drills, and the 2 blokes.
Yeah.
2024.
We're doing 320,000 properties.
How many in the team?
There's
You can ballpark it.
Yeah, there's about 600 employees in the business. There's 200 further employees in the Philippines helping us out with scheduling and back office support.
Yep.
Of the 600, about 500 technicians on the road across 6 states and territories across Australia.
Yeah. So that's that. I can't even calculate. I'm not really good with maths on that thing. I can't even work that out.
No, it's not try.
It's big.
Look,
amazing.
Our business was, we were an overnight success story 18 years in the making.
Yeah, I get it. Don't worry, I get the same. Yeah, not quite on the same scale though.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Sorry, keep going. The story's intriguing.
Yeah. So like a big thing for real estate agents and property managers was they hated compliance. Compliance was a massive administrative burden for them. And so, we solved the problem. We were doing smoke alarm maintenance for them. There was no regulations specifically at the time, but we were solving a problem. We were making homes safer, and landlords like that. And so we grew a really good business doing that. We used technology to help reduce that administrative burden on the property managers. So we integrated with real estate software, so the main real estate property management software in the market. And by doing so, we helped property managers manage compliance really easily. And back in the old days where it was just smoke alarm maintenance that we did, our business was able to kind of operate in the background while these property managers did their day-to-day tasks like leasing and dealing with maintenance and routine inspections and things like that. They just didn't have the competency to know what regulatory requirements were out there, and also to go out and do those services. And that's sort of the problem that we solve for them. Quality became a really big thing for us. There were 2 main reasons. First of all, Jason and I wanted to sleep well at night, and so we wanted to make sure that only our technicians were doing the right jobs based on the regulations. And
so when you say quality, we're talking about smoke detector. How do you?
We're talking about service quality. So,
okay.
So if you think about in its simplest form, you can have a technician go into a home, and if you don't have the right systems and processes for the service, they could technically walk in and walk out without doing anything, and no one would be the wiser.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about sort of the stakeholder situation, you've got a real estate agent or property manager that manages the property. They're often not in the property when the services are being done. You've got owners who are paying for the service. They never see what type of service is being done inside the property. And you have tenants who may be home or are often at work. And so we've picked up a key to go and do the service when they're not home. And
they're
so,
not even experts in what you're doing,
and they have no idea what is required in the service. And in the old days with smoke alarms, it was simple, and so they could monitor and they could provide feedback. And sometimes the feedback they were providing was a technician walked into our house, they changed the battery and left. Why are we paying? Like, you shouldn't be charging $90 for that. Like, that's ridiculous. And so we use technology to help us solve that problem. And we built a mobile app with digital workflows that sit behind the steps and the processes that each technician needs to complete to make sure that the service gets done. And for each part of the safety check that gets done, we have some sort of media that sits behind it, either a photo or a video, to make sure that each one of those steps are completed. And so fast track, to 2019, and in Victoria and New South Wales, both states released new residential tenancy acts. And in releasing the new residential tenancy act in Victoria, Victorians mandated that there would be gas and electrical safety checks that needed to be completed every 2 years, and smoke alarms needed to be completed every 12 months.
So up until then, there was no legislation asking you to do it. It was sort of like, do it because you make the property safer, but you didn't have to do it.
There was a common law obligation for an owner to provide a safe living environment for their tenants, but our data suggested before 2019, 50% of landlords took up a service to provide smoke alarm services to within their property, and the other 50% didn't want to do anything, wanted to save the $100. Come 2019, and all of a sudden, New South Wales and Victoria are starting to mandate these safety checks. And so New South Wales, it's still smoke alarm maintenance only every 12 months, but as I mentioned before, in Victoria, it's gas and electrical safety checks as well. And gas and electrical safety checks was like the new world order. You've got highly complex services that are being done by qualified tradespeople. If you think about it, you got hundreds of different appliances, thousands of different parts. There's an exponential number of problems that could occur in the property with those appliances in comparison to simply changing a smoke alarm. Battery goes, smoke alarm beeps. What do? We replace it with a new one, and Bob's your uncle, and it's all everything's up and running again. With gas and electrical safety checks, there could be a huge array of different problems that occur in those services.
So if we look at the legislation now, we've got a whole realm of electrical checks. Like when we were talking about this when the legislation came in, do you think that they went too far with the legislation in terms of the requirement for checks beyond what most would deem as reasonable? Do you think they're required too often, or do you think that it's the right volume? I know this is I'm not trying to injure your business. That's not that.
Well,
you're doing the legislation.
There's gas
and electrical.
No, but gas is no longer going to be installed in Victoria.
No, not in new homes.
Yeah, but there's still hundreds of thousands of rental properties out there with
can I tell you
current gas
about
installations.
Yeah, of course you can.
I was my other half said, "Can you do the barbecue?" And I turned the barbecue on. I thought it had lit, but it hadn't lit. So then I'm thinking, why isn't it getting hot? What's going on? And then I got there was a pair of some matches there, and I lit it. No, this is true.
Yeah, bright spark,
mate. The whole thing.
Yeah,
yeah. She came running. She said, "What was that?" I said, "That was a gas explosion." And then I looked at her. She goes, my face was black. All my hair was singed. I can't wait to get rid of gas. It's dangerous.
Is that why you don't have any eyebrows today?
That's it, mate.
For all the listeners out there, Pete doesn't have any eyebrows.
No gas, I think, is a good thing.
Look, that's a pretty political question or statement to throw out there. Some people say gas is cheaper than electricity. I think it can pose a safety risk, which is why the government brought in these regulations. In answer to your question, Steve, I think Consumer Affairs and the Residential Tenancy Act strikes a really good balance for safety in rental properties. Before 2019, there was nothing. There was no regulations. You have sometimes 50, 80-year-old homes that have appliances that have never been serviced before, and you have tenants living in these homes and potentially living there in an environment that they don't even know is unsafe until something fatal happens.
Which the gas. Like, I mean, a smoke detector is one thing. Obviously, you want to know, but a gas leak is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and
because you can't smell it necessarily, and
it's the carbon monoxide. That's the killer.
Yeah, I think it was brought in because of that.
Yeah,
that really horrible tragedy.
Yeah, it was probably about
5 or 6 years ago.
8 to 10 years ago now. Now, it was a bit longer. There were, it's called the Chase and Tyler Robinson case. It was in Marupna in Victoria, which is near Shepparton.
Yep.
And there were 2 children and a mother living in a rental property in Marupna, and it was a cold winter's day. And they and so the mother closed all the doors and windows and turned on the gas heater in the living room overnight and left it running overnight to keep her children warm. And unfortunately, the next day the children didn't wake, and they thought that the mother tried to kill her children. And it turned out that that didn't happen. There was a coroner's report, and what they had found was that there was an extraction fan left on in the home, and as well as a faulty gas heater that wasn't fluing the carbon monoxide correctly through the flue, which is like the chimney of this appliance. And as a result of the extraction fan, it was drawing the carbon monoxide back into the home and basically filled the home with deadly carbon monoxide, which unfortunately
it's horrible.
So we passed away.
I think
gas is good. The new gas laws are good.
I think they're great. Like I'm there.
So you were asking Jordan if they've gone overboard.
Yeah, because the feedback that we get with new properties is that you go in.
Is that because of the price though?
No, it's not so much the price. I think they're looking at it from a practical sense, and the clients go, well, I've got a brand new property that's been signed off and certified as being safe. And then we've got an electrician who's gone in 2 years later and said, yes, it's safe. And then I've got to have an electrician go in again after 2 years to say that my place that's already been signed off twice.
It's every 2 years.
It's every 2 years. Look, I mean, you make a good point, but appliances malfunction and they degrade over time.
And they bust
during the
faster
summer.
than ever.
During this summer, I lost, with a newborn baby, I lose my hot water, my dishwasher, and my air conditioning all in 1 week. Like appliances do malfunction, and so. The same would be said even about new builds. Over time, these appliances do degrade, they do malfunction.
They start breaking straight away.
And they break. And so in the context of a gas heater, for example, if you've got a faulty gas heater and you turn it on, the heater exchanger heats up and it opens up and cracks appear in the heater exchanger, and that's when they leak carbon monoxide. And so our gas safety check, which takes us about an hour and a half to complete, a thorough gas safety check in the average home can identify problems like that. And we identify them all the time, and especially in properties that have never been serviced before. Like our fault rate in services in properties that we've never serviced before is something like 24% of finding some sort of malfunction in either gas, electrical, or smoke alarms.
So
which is quite high.
So 1 in 4 of the non-checked, but the rules came in 3 years ago. How many places are still yet to be checked?
Good question. I was going to ask that question.
I'll ask it.
How many rental properties do we think there are in Victoria?
I could give you a good, I reckon about 700,000.
Yep. How many are compliant?
Well,
how many are non-compliant?
if I controlled 100% of the market, I'd be able to give you that statistic, but unfortunately I don't.
Based on your
look, I reckon from our data, it's an increasing number of properties that are being serviced in this manner, but after year one, it was only a small percentage, was sort of like 20 and 30% got these services done. It's probably now sitting around 60 to 70%. So of services being completed for rental properties. But again, like I would say that.
So you're saying, just so I'm getting this clear, that from your 320,000 that have signed up, there's a fair chunk that still haven't signed up for gas and electrical.
Well, not of our 320,000.
Right.
But, and now 320,000 is a national number.
Right.
But of our Victorian properties, the ones that we service, it is an unknown quantity for us actually, whether or not those, all properties have been serviced by some tradesperson. Now, the reason why we don't have 100% of the services that we manage, that we do all those services.
Yeah.
So, we could do smoke alarm maintenance for one of the properties, and an owner may have got their own gas fitter or electrician to go and do it, but they also may not have. And so there is probably a risk out there for some real estate agencies, not all, that haven't done these services and haven't sort of pushed and mandated them
Can I ask
amongst their landlords in their agency.
What's interesting is that we're talking about properties that are rented.
Yes.
So what? But I live in my house that nearly blew me up. Well, why wouldn't I get a gas check there?
I think you should.
Well, do you know what I'm saying? So.
And I know a really good company to do that.
I do too. Called Detector Inspector.
That's right.
Just so happens. Lucky me. But no, thinking about like all homes really should have that check.
Yeah, I think the responsibility of the homeowner is to make sure that their home is safe.
If I ring up Detector Inspector, is that a service that you offer? Or
of course.
Are you only targeting agents, obviously, because that's where they've got control of it? But do you actually have to service normal mum and dads who own homes who go, you know what, we've got a bungalow with an old gas heater, we want to get it checked out because one of our teenagers is going to live in it? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that is something that you can do today. You could sign up through our websites. You can enroll into these services through our websites.
What is that?
www.detectorinspector.com.au.
I know what it is, but I'm just making sure everyone listening knows. Yeah, and so they go on there and they can sign up and get it done.
That's right. And so you can sign up to one service. You can sign up to multiple services. In Victoria, we have our Safer Home plans, and that's a bundled plan for the Victorian regulations. But we also provide services for Queensland, New South Wales, Tasmania, South Australia, and the ACT.
If you were living, let's say, in a country and you bought an old home which has got one of those old gas heaters, I remember it.
Yeah,
Mum always used to say,
the wall fluid
keep
heaters.
You're going to catch fire.
Yeah,
you would do that.
Yeah.
Like just say you're moving into it. Forget the rental componentry, which is our space, but you would just sign up and
You get a gas and
Like put it this way, I recommend all my friends use our services.
What is the full service cost?
Well, it depends on sort of
Just
what
rough.
appliances you have.
Ballpark.
It will range from like $250 to $400 per year.
So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
When you spend, $1,000 for your conveyancer and $100 for a title search and
That's right.
all the other costs.
And I think there is a big, there's a big watch out that people wanting to buy these services should be looking for, and that is the cost of the service in relation to other suppliers out in the market. And there is a direct correlation between the time spent on site and how much a service costs. And you'll find that companies that spend more time on site doing the services more thoroughly will charge more for those services, and therefore the service quality is higher. You may find that when there are cheaper price providers out there, they may not be spending as long in those properties, and as a result of that, there could be a quality or a lack of quality element there, and it's something that people should look out for.
Cutting through that, the simple fact of the matter is we have the opportunity to work with whichever contractor we want in this space, and we've been with you guys for a decade or longer because, let's not muck about.
We do things properly.
You do.
And we'll protect you as the real estate agents, and we'll protect your owners. And our technology with our digital audit trails make sure that our technicians do every single component of the safety checks correctly.
And a lot of the competition that we have experienced, is quite poor. Because it was legislated, it was seen as a little bit of an easy grab, if you like. I think for some tradies, maybe.
Yeah, there's a bit of a cash grab there. Look, there are some really great suppliers in the market, and there's also some that we've seen that probably are not quite up to scratch.
So you're number one.
Yes,
by a fair margin.
Yes.
And the other thing I'd love to quickly mention, because we've got a few minutes left, is not only has your business grown exponentially, in just the number of houses you service thing. I've also noticed in our chats and catch ups from time to time, you have got an extraordinary executive team.
Yes.
From all over the world. I think I just can't, the names elude me at the top, but when I look at your executive team, if I'm honest, I'm a little jealous. Not saying my executive team's not great.
Steve's right here, mate.
No, I'm just saying, but you've gone
thick skin.
To scale your, but you've gone world class. You've gone top of the pops.
I mean, it was something that we needed to do. So Jason and we recognized that we built a good business up until to a point.
Yep.
But to take the business to the next level and to really scale a business in a very short period of time, we needed expertise that we didn't have in our business at the time. And we went out and assembled a fantastic executive team and also senior management team as well. And if anyone wants to go to the website, we've got them all listed on our website, and they've all got a bio. And you should read up on them. They are amazing people,
extraordinary people,
and we've succeeded because of them. It's because of their help and their expertise. And I guess Jason and I, very fortunately, have learned a great deal from them in our business, and we've been super successful in the process.
224. What's the plan going forward for DI? Just without giving away too much.
Detector Inspector is the way that our business is successful is with density of property. Mm-hmm. So consolidating the market, it's quite fragmented with other players in the markets. Having really small numbers of properties would mean that there is some M&A opportunity out there for us, and we're going to be exploring that and trying to increase the number of properties.
Consolidation.
Make those properties, make sure that we have density in the markets that we're in, that will reduce drive time, and that will increase productivity of our technicians every day. And so that's how we make our business more successful. And then we have this other side of the business, which is based on technology, and it's about building out those platforms, really optimizing those platforms, improving the customer experience. And we have several customers. We've got the property manager, we've got the landlord, and we've got the tenants, and we need to make sure that we're satisfying those three stakeholders when we're doing our job. And again, using technology, automation to help us do that is something that's super important for us.
Yeah. It's a really inspirational story.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I absolutely love it. It's been a pleasure to be part of that. And thanks for coming in, mate, because I know you're busy. Only lazy 600 staff to look after. Jeez. So thanks for sharing the journey and the story and the info. And
it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Feel free to come in.
Thanks, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers.